What's up, everybody? So we're taking a look at the Takara Nemesis Bridge Dramatic Capture Series Decepticon 3-pack. So let's first take a look at the packaging. So the packaging for the box here is, it's got like three kind of packaging boxes, but this is just the basic shipping box that it basically comes in with the Dramatic Capture Series, Decepticon, Nemesis Bridge, Megatron, Shockwave, and Soundwave. And here is the top of the box here, but we'll just open it up here. There's not too much with the outer box, but there is actually something with this super nice inside of the box. And I'm gonna try and get this out here. Hold on, I'm gonna get this out on camera. So here is the inside box right here, and it has this very, very, very nice looking artwork here. Someone definitely took the time to draw this up, because this looks really, really nice. Like, this shit actually looks like just, man, this shit looks so good. And as you can see on the side there, the Nemesis Bridge, and here's the back showcasing the figures in the package. You got Megatron, Shockwave, Soundwave, Laserbeak, and the obvious Space Bitch Throne that comes in there. And there's the top of the box right there. This is a pretty big box. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing on the bottom of the box there. But anyway, let's get this slip cover off and show you the other box. So here's the other look of the box here, showcasing the big Decepticon logo there in the Nemesis right front and center. Nothing too special about this box. I mean, it has nice artwork, but it is just basically just a cardboard box with no color. But yeah, I mean, I got on the side, same thing there. On the back, there's really nothing. I don't really know what to make of that. So here are all three figures here. Got Megatron sitting in the throne, Soundwave, and Shockwave there. Now, this box set is pretty good. It has only one negative though, and that is with Megatron himself. So that'll be the figure we'll be taking a look at first. Just get the negatives out of the way. And here is Megatron, and here is Megatron up front and center. So we will take a look at him, and I have him standing in a weird way just because he likes to fall over, which kind of sucks. So the legs are very, very, very loose, so I have to kind of have him stand like that, or he will fall over, like he just did. But anyway, take a look at him here. As you can see, he just has these really, really loose legs, and I don't know if that's a problem with this Earthrise mold or something, but these legs are just loose, man. I don't know. It's just whack. And, I mean, yeah. He just likes to keep on bending backwards and just being all floppy, and I don't know. He does look really nice, though. I mean, here's another problem, too. The arms don't tab in at all. They don't, they do, but they don't, click tab in, which, I don't know, man. This figure has a lot of issues. But, nonetheless, he does look nice, at least, but he doesn't like to stand, which, is really kind of just frustrating when, trying to review him. But, yeah, he has this really big backpack, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But, I mean, I feel like he'd be fine. And, plus these heel things don't really do anything either to help him stand, which also sucks. So, I don't know if it's due to the backpack or just the looseness of the legs. It's probably a combination of both, but, yeah. But, anyway, he does look nice, and, he's clad in all of this silver, making him look pretty nice looking, at least. I mean, he is very pleasing, and oh my god, if he would just love to stand for me so I could review him. But yeah, I mean, I really dig the cannon and everything. I dig the silver. And I would also really love to dig if he would stand up for me, but I guess not. I guess Megatron doesn't really stand up for nobody, but I just wish this figure would. But, well, anyway, enough of that. Let's take a look at that head sculpt. Now, the head sculpt is not too bad, but for some reason, I don't know, I just feel like it's just off. Because to me, it just doesn't exactly scream G1 Megatron to me, and I don't know why. Like, if I tilt the head down like that, it looks like G1 Megatron, but then tilting the head and just looking at it straight on, I just feel like that unibrow kind of black section is a little too thick. I don't know. Might just be me, but anyway, he does have like really nice detail there on the sides, and with the red paint, it looks really, really nice. He does have this like gunmetal like color for like the bottom half of like the legs, and I don't know, that just kind of pops to me. Cannon is detailed pretty nice. I don't like these flaps on the hands, but it's the same with the War for Cybertron version, which kind of blows. But and this big back piece, man, this is the problem with Tank Megatron. You can't ever really get a really perfect G1 look for him, and well, this one is just still, I mean, isn't it in my opinion? But again, that is just my opinion. And, yeah, so, I mean, he doesn't look too bad, and, great. He just wants to keep on falling down. But, yeah, I mean, he's not a bad figure, at least looks-wise. He is, engineering-wise, or at least tolerance-wise, or, I don't know, I just feel like there should have been some sort of, like, QC with this figure before they released it. Maybe it might just be my copy, but, I don't know. He's okay, I guess. Now, let's get into his accessories. His only accessories, kinda. So, as for his first accessory, kinda, here, and what I mean by kinda is some of these are really just parts for the tank, because he's a parts former. Yay. So, you have this really goofy-looking shield thing that they basically want you to basically use this as an accessory, but here is Megatron, and this is how they want you to use it. You just kind of peg it into his arm, and, well, that's it. That's, I don't even really think I really consider that an accessory. I think I could consider it more of just some random heap of junk to slap on his arm, but alright. And here is the other accessory, which basically is just a tank turret, but with a big sword on it. Yeah, this one sucks too. It's pretty much just a parts forming for the tank mode, and it has this really mediocre sword on it. It has this little peg thing, because one peg's for holding it as a weapon, the other's for the tank. But anyway, bringing back in Megatron, and this is how you use this accessory, if you want to call it. You just use the peg on the bottom of it, just peg it into his arm, and, well, there you go. You got a goofy, like, sword thingy that he never used once. But taking that off, you can put it underneath his arm, like so, and maybe you could have him as a underbarrel kind of gun, or, you could probably put it back on his arm and flip around and have another fusion cannon, or, I don't know. But here's his other accessory, which is his fusion cannon. Now, this is an actual accessory, and it looks good. I like how it's detailed to look like the scope of his gun mode from G1. It is your classic Megatron fusion cannon, and it is detailed pretty decently. I do like the barrel on it, and it does look pretty good. It's not like a full-on black. It's like this weird grayish blue-black, but of course, bringing back in Megatron, this is how you attach the fusion cannon. It does come pre-attached in the box, but if it does come detached, that's pretty much just how you kind of place it on Megatron, and, well, this is the only accessory I'll be displaying him with, if I don't end up selling this figure because he doesn't like to stand. But, yeah, he does look cool with it. But anyway, let's get into articulation. Head goes up about that far, down not so much. Does have some side to side and can go all the way around. It is on a ball joint, like so. And as for the arms, you can kind of use the not attachable shoulder as a joint, but the arm can go up about that far and it can swing all the way around. It does have a swivel at the elbow and a single bend, which bends about that far. And for the wrist, it can go in and out due to transformation. And he does have a waist swivel that is quite a bit tight, but you can get that going. And as for the legs here, they do the full splits. And they go up about that far, back about that far, and he does have a single bend at the knee right there. And as for the foot can go up about that far and down about that far. And he does have an ankle pivot. And that is pretty much it. Oh, and he does have a thigh swivel, but forgot to articulate that. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for Megatron. Now let's take a look at Shockwave, which I do think is kind of a slight improvement. Shockwave is definitely the second to best figure in this box set, and I do think that he actually looks a little bit better. But I did actually do a video on this guy already, well, this particular mold. But let's take a look at him real quick. And yeah, it's more or less the same details as the other one I did a video on quite a while back. But this time there are some color differences, like this hose being purple, which I'm not too big a fan of. Kind of just wish it was black, but yeah, I mean, there's some slight differences, like this back piece being a different color. Kind of wish that they maybe didn't go with the purple hinge there. It just looks a little bit off, but yeah, so he does have like different kind of shades going to him. But I mean, overall it is pretty much the same coloration, just with some different shading. And yeah, so he has definitely a more G1 look, and he still does have the Decepticon logos on the arms and such. And just looking at that head sculpt, it's pretty much the same as well too. And I just love how that eye just lights up, like no matter which way you put it. It's kind of crazy. So like there, it looks like it's off, and then just on, and it's like you can like have him talk. It's like Megatron. Yeah, it is pretty cool. But yeah, it's like there you go. See, you can have him like it's talking, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for the look. And he is pretty nice. So let's take a look at Shockwave's articulation. So his head can go down about that far before it hits his boobies. And yeah, so I mean, he can't look down too much because of those big boobies. But yeah, you can look down about that far. You can look up a little bit if you untab it, but technically you can't look up at all. It does have some side to side. Can go at least a little bit around, not all the way, but a little bit. And as far as the arms go, they can go up pretty much all the way, utilizing that transformation joint, but technically it's part of the shoulder, so it is a joint too as well. And he does have full rotation all the way around on both arms, even on the arm with the tube. You can go all the way around to a certain point, but, the tube is bendable enough so you can go around at least once or twice. He does have a bicep swivel, a single joint at the elbow, and both of his wrists do swivel on both sides. Same with the hand side without the gun. And he does have a waist swivel right there. And as for the legs, his leg can kick up about that far, and it can kick back all the way. And he can do the splits, like so. And he does have a thigh swivel, and he does have a single jointed knee right there. And the only foot articulation he has is a slight pivot. No up, no down, just that pivot, which, I mean, is okay. I mean, he doesn't really need the most craziest articulation, because he's not really going to be articulated too much, but yeah, I mean, he's pretty decently articulated, and he's a really great figure, and I do think he's definitely a lot better than Megatron for sure. I really do love the colors on him. It's just, I don't know, that tube, just the tube. But anyway, he is the perfect Shockwave. Now let's look at Soundwave. So, taking a look at Soundwave here, let's go over some of his details. And, yeah, so his light piping isn't as good as Shockwave's, unfortunately, so Soundwave is kind of left looking dead, or offline for the most part, so I may paint him up. But as you can see, he has a very nice Decepticon logo right there on his cassette chest. Very nice details on the shoulders. Very, very, very nice silver on the forearms. Now, I haven't had this version of Soundwave. I haven't had this version of Soundwave. I have the Netflix, War for Cybertron, series one, where he turns into something weird, which I'll show. But yeah, I mean, this one's really, really nice. So this is my first time with that boombox Soundwave mold, and I love it because honestly, I did not want to pay $200 to get it, but to get it in this nice box set with these other figures is just really, really nice. As you can see, he does have similar details. He does have this pig play button on his ass, and he has some very nice details on the back. I really do love the sculpt work for all of this. It just looks really, really, really nice. And, yeah, I mean, he's pretty definitive Soundwave here. And as you see, the details of the cassette mode right there. And, yeah, so that's pretty much it for his details. Let's take a look at his accessories. And for his first accessory, you have his kind of shoulder blaster thing here. Got all painted up really nice and red there. Every little missile thing there. Really nice strip of red right there. And, yeah, the peg can move as well, too. And if you're wondering, I didn't do any accessory segment for Shockwave because Shockwave doesn't come with anything. But, yeah, so that is the shoulder cannon. And to put it on a Soundwave here, you just kind of peg it in on the top of his shoulder right there, and it does only have one spot to peg in. And for his other accessory, he does come with his blaster here, which is sculpted pretty nice. No real paint on it except for the barrel, painted in silver. But yeah, I mean, it does look, pretty decent. And bringing back in Soundwave here, in order to attach the blaster, you just take that peg and just stick it right in the hand. Simple as that. And it does look pretty nice. Not too bad looking. And yeah, and if you want, you actually can condense the barrel part like that. And spinning him to the back, you can just peg it onto his back like so. And there, he can carry it around on his back, which is pretty nice weapon storage. Now, Soundwave does also come with this. Now, this came with the other Soundwave I have. It's just kind of like a nothing gun. I don't know why he comes with it, but he does. And to bring it back in Soundwave, in order to put it on him, it's pretty much the same kind of thing. So you just kind of peg it into the hand, and he has a kind of goofy looking little pistol blaster kind of thing, but this thing has another use. So if you bring in Megatron here, if he wants to stand up, there we go, and then we bring back in that piece. If we unfold it like so, and Megatron's gonna fall over again, yay. But if we unfold it and take that peg and place it into the peg on Megatron's back like so, you can kind of have that G1 kind of barrel on the back type of looking Megatron style if you would like. And if it does look a little too long, you can just bend it down, spin it up, and you can have kind of a shorter barrel, but now it's like a double barrel. So it is pretty much up to personal preference. Now, the next accessory that Soundwave comes with is probably the most important accessory for Soundwave, and that is Laserbeak. So he's in this nice little cassette mode, and yeah, he does have his own little transformation, which I'll get into during the transformation segment. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice little cassette. And in order to put that into Soundwave right here, basically what we're going to do is there is this button here on Soundwave's chest, which we were going to press. So I'll press that right now. So just pressing that open, it'll fling the chest part open, and then you can just kind of squeeze Laserbeak on in, like so, and close this up, and there you go. You have Soundwave you have Laserbeak in Soundwave's chest, which is pretty cool. And you see this finger is sculpted like that. If you move the arm up like so, you can actually have Soundwave, not punch him in the head, but you can actually have Soundwave press his own cassette button, which is pretty cool, in my opinion. So, getting into Laserbeak's transformation here, you're just going to unfold these side bits out here, lift the head out from the top, like so, and then lift this back piece up and swivel that down, and you're going to come under here and bring the legs down, and there you have Laserbeak's robot mode. Well, technically, would I consider robot mode or a beast mode? But yeah, and he does have some small articulation with the feet, the head, and of course the wings count too as well. But yeah, he's a nice little Laserbeak figure, and he's, sculpted pretty well. I think he's painted up pretty nice as well too. He got that little Decepticon logo on the top of his skull. And yeah, these wings are detailed really nice, and they're painted pretty well too, for the most part. But yeah, there's nothing on the bottom, but he is detailed pretty nice, and there actually is this peg on the bottom right here that you can swing out as well. And this will incorporate into Soundwave's robot mode, so that way he can hold Laserbeak, which I will show right now. So, bringing in Soundwave here, basically what you're just going to do is take Soundwave's arm and raise it up, and there will be a peg attachment right there on Soundwave's arm, but we do have to fold in Laserbeak's legs because they do get in the way. So folding those legs back up into the body, you can just take that tab and just peg that onto Soundwave, and there you go. You have Soundwave holding Laserbeak, which is pretty cool. Yeah, this is a great figure. Yeah, this figure is just awesome, and he just looks really nice as a nice companion piece for Soundwave. And getting into Soundwave's articulation, so as for the head, his head can look down about that far. Let's take the short can off. He can look down about that far, up about that far. It does have some side to side. Head can spin all the way around. It is on a ball joint. As for the arms can swivel all the way around. They can go up about that far. He does have bicep swivel, like so, all the way around. He does have double jointed elbows, like so. And the wrists can hinge in and out, mainly due to transformation. And as far as the waist goes, he can spin all the way around pretty much, and he can do full-on splits. And as for the legs, they can go up about that far, but if you move the skirt piece, it can go up a little further. And as far as going back, if you move the skirt piece up, he can go back pretty much all the way. And he does have a thigh swivel, and he does have a single jointed knee at 90 degrees. And as far as the foot, can go up a little bit, back not so much, but he does have an ankle pivot. So he's pretty decently articulated for being a big boxy boy. And let's just get that shoulder can back on. So yeah, he's a pretty nice figure. But there's just one thing. This figure has these weird things on the back of the arms that the other version had, but they serve no purpose at all. So I don't know why they just kept those on, but anyway, he's still a pretty good figure. Now let's get into the last and final accessory. We have the throne. Now, this accessory can basically just be for any of the characters, so I don't really attach it to any single one of them. But yeah, it is a pretty nice throne, and it is sculpted pretty nice. Has ports on the back to put some accessories on, which is always a plus to have. And this throne has some pretty nice sculpt work going for it. And you can have anybody sitting on this throne. Like I said, it's not for anybody specific, but you can have Soundwave sit on the throne, which is pretty cool. You can have obviously Shockwave, which is actually something I want to do with Shockwave on the throne, which I will probably try to do later in this video. But you can have Shockwave sit in the throne, and of course, you can have Megatron sit in the throne, which is probably what most people will have sitting in the throne for the most part. But yeah, I mean, he does look pretty nice in the throne. Overall, I say these figures are hit or miss, with the main miss being Megatron, of course. I don't know why that figure has so many issues as is, but here they all are together. They do look nice together, I will admit. They actually look pretty perfect together. But anyway, let's get on to comparisons. So, taking a look at the scale, I have to have Megatron basically leaning against the throne, so that's why the throne is behind him, just because he does not like to stand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Optimus first here and demonstrate how I'm going to do the scale. So have him right next to Shockwave right there. And then there he is next to Optimus. And then there he is next to Optimus right there. So this is pretty much how I'm going to do the scale. So that's how all of them look next to Optimus. Now here's Shockwave next to Bumblebee. Here's Megatron next to Bumblebee. And here's Soundwave next to Bumblebee. And here is the 86 Perceptor. So here is Perceptor next to Shockwave, Perceptor next to Megatron, and Perceptor next to Soundwave. And here is the Earthrise Wheeljack. So here's Wheeljack next to Shockwave. Here is Wheeljack next to Megatron. And here's Wheeljack next to Soundwave. And let's bring in a slightly bigger figure. And by slightly bigger, I mean really big. But here he is Ultra Magnus. So there's Ultra Magnus against all of them there, next to Shockwave. And let's have Ultra Magnus here next to Megatron. And then here's Ultra Magnus next to Soundwave, and kind of an unfair comparison because he's big and he's a commander class, but just to get the sizing kind of there. And now let's do some Decepticons. So here they are, the big four Decepticons. So there's Starscream next to Shockwave, Starscream next to Megatron, and Starscream next to Soundwave right there. And these guys look just so perfect together. I'm so glad I have a perfect G1 Decepticon team. And now, taking a look at some other Decepticons. Here they are next to Blitzwing. So here's Blitzwing next to Shockwave. Here is Blitzwing next to Megatron. And Blitzwing next to Soundwave. That Blitzwing figure is, God, it's such a good one. But here's another figure that's G1-esque, but he is from the comics. So not from the original show, but he is from the comics. But he still has that G1 look. So here's Tarn next to Shockwave, right there. And here is Tarn next to Megatron. And here's Tarn next to Soundwave. So yeah, it looks like that right there. And yeah, so, I mean, these guys, I think they're in pretty good scale with some other G1 characters. So I don't think you really have to worry about scaling with these guys, but yeah. So let's take a look at some more individual comparisons. So here is my current Megatron that I had before getting this new one, which I think I still kind of like the current one I had, just because I feel like the face sculpt just feels a little bit more like G1 Megatron, and, well, of course there isn't tolerance issues with this other Megatron that I've had, and, I do like the battle damaged look and everything. But yeah, so I mean, that's how they pretty much look together. They're pretty much about the same height. They do have a lot of reuse. From what I could tell, the arms are reused on both molds for the most part. Actually, they both are the same. I know the feet are reuse. See here, but yeah, the feet are definitely reuse. The cannons are definitely different. Obviously the back treads are different. And yeah, just a full spin around. I feel like the chest on the new one's bigger, but I'm not too sure. But let's take a look at the head sculpts. Yeah, see, this one just feels a lot more G1 Megatron than this one on the right here, the new one. I don't know. It might just be me, but that is at least how I feel. And yeah, so I mean, there is a lot of reuse going on. So you can tell some parts are pretty much the same. But saying these guys back up next to each other, I do prefer some things on this newer one. Like I really do like the gunmetal for the legs. But taking a look at Shockwave here, I'll bring in the original Shockwave figure that I had that basically shares the same mold. So they're both the exact same, just different color changes and different color choices. So as you can see, the purple, the new one's definitely a lot brighter. Some of the grays are brighter. I do prefer the new one over the old one, just because the new one just has a much more purpley look. And I mean, the older one had a more, I guess, like muted look, or I don't know how to really explain it. But I really do. I do like both. They both have like a certain look to them that I like, but I do prefer the new one being more of a translucent purple rather than just a smoked out color. And I do really like the black tube opposed to the purple one on the new one. I wish there was a way to kind of switch those out, but unfortunately I don't think there is. But yeah, just giving a quick little spin around here. Pretty much all the same stuff, just with different color choices. And yeah, so as you can tell, the backpacks are different colors, as opposed to them both being purple. And I don't know, they used a purple kind of a joint there, which is kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, they both have very perfect light up eyes, but I do prefer the new one. So taking a look at sound waves comparison here, I'm going to bring in the old sound wave that I have that doesn't turn into a boombox for some reason. But here is the older sound wave from the War for Cybertron type trilogy figure. But yeah, I mean, there's really no competition here. The new one is obviously going to be the more wanted and more better sound wave to have, because he actually turns into the boombox and he looks a lot more G1. But just getting a quick little spin around, you can tell there are some reused pieces. Definitely like the lower half of the legs for the most part. And the from the biceps down on the arms are pretty much the same. And I think due to the waist is almost the same. But yeah, just getting a close look here, you can tell the colors are definitely shaded differently. There are some other golds. My Soundwave is a little bit customed, opposed to the new one. But yeah, as you can see, the colors are definitely different. There are some differences, like the shoulder cannon is painted on the new one while the old one isn't painted. Just giving some more spin arounds here. You can tell that the back of the older Soundwave is a little bit less clean. But they do both share the same parts of the arms, but I don't know why they left the weird thingies on the new one still. But yeah, and I mean, they both honestly look good. It's just one of them is better. But let's take a look at the head sculpts to see if those are any different. And as you can see, here's the Boombox Soundwave head sculpt. And here is the War for Cybertron Soundwave head sculpt, and it does look like they have some differences. The Boombox Soundwave head sculpt did actually have yellow eyes, but I changed mine to red because I like red-eyed Soundwave. But bringing in Laserbeak here, they both can utilize Laserbeak, which is pretty cool. So you can put Laserbeak into the old Soundwave, and it'll work just as fine. So you can use him with whoever, but the old one actually kind of works a little bit better than the new one as far as the opening and closing of the cassette while Laserbeak's in it, which is pretty interesting. But without further ado, let's take Laserbeak out, and let's get on to a pose test with all three of these figures. So, I hope you enjoyed that little pose test with all three of these figures and that Shockwave a little pose thing with the throne and everything. That was probably one of the more funner ones to do. I wanted to do that one so bad as soon as I got this box set. But we're going to take a look at each one individually for transformation. So, we'll start out with Shockwave. So, starting out with Shockwave for the transformations, first we're going to do is untap that hose, untap the backpack, and lift that up. And then next what we're going to do is we are going to open up this backpack, like so. Just untap it like that. And then we're going to untab this whole chest section. Let me just get this camera set up. We're going to untab this whole chest section, push the head in, and we're going to close back up the chest section, making sure the head is as straight as possible. Then next we're going to lift these arms up all the way until they come together, but we're going to feed the backpack through first, and then just rest the arms on that piece, like so. And then we're going to close up this whole backpack piece over the arms. It's pretty much the same transformation as the other one that I did a video on, but we're going to collapse these shoulder pieces together. They don't peg or anything, but they just stick close to each other. And then we'll take the hose and just peg it on to that top section of the barrel of the gun mode. And then as for the legs, pretty simple. Just open up these panels on both sides of the legs, like so. And then flip the legs around using the thigh swivel. And then we'll just accordion these legs on in to collapse them. Do the same for this side here. Just fold the leg on in and collapse it in, like so. And then just tab the legs together and tab in those panels together at the bottom. And then tabbing the panels into the stomach. And there you have Shockwave. Now, going on to Megatron here. First we're going to do is fold in the hands on both sides, like so. And then what we're going to do is rotate the cannon. And then next step is to open up the backpack a little bit there, and to untab the backpack from the back and just lift it up, like so. And then the next step to do is to, and if they aren't already, just untab these arms like so, and just bring them to the back, and then you will peg in the cannon to the other arm too as well to close those together. And then as for the backpack, just make sure it's open like so. And then these parts will tab in, but we're not going to do that just yet because we do have to kind of condense this area. It can be a little bit tricky to get over some of these parts of the body, but as long as you try and get them over those little lips, should be fine. Might scratch off paint, but should be fine nonetheless. And then we will condense as much as possible, and then we will tab in those parts if they haven't been tabbed in already. And that is the top half pretty much done. We'll clean that up once we get to the bottom half. I almost feel like it should be in a bit more, but it'll probably go in a bit more in a second. Next, what we're going to do is rotate the waist all the way around, and then open up this section here on the back of the legs, and then close the heel spurs up into the feet, like so. Might be a little bit stiff, but there you go. And then just kind of move the feet back. Now we're going to lift the leg up, bend at the knee, but while we bend at the knee, we should also have this joint here on the thigh bent down, so that way we can rotate the knee on in like so, and then collapse that panel back, and then just kind of let that sit there for right now. And I'll do the same for the other side. So lift the leg up, bend at the thigh, then rotate the knee on in like so. Make sure it's as straight as possible, and then we will collapse that panel back down, and then we will try to join both of these parts in, but we need to make sure that this area here is properly orientated, and it looks like it can go further. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we try to get a little bit further, and now it should be good. So now we just tab in the legs to the backpack portions with the other treads, and those will just tab in pretty securely, like so. And then we do the same for the other side, just tab those in very securely, like so. Make sure everything's as straight as possible. Now we're going to bring in the parts forming pieces. So we're just going to take this, and these tabs will go into the empty voids in the figure. So we'll just squeeze this on in and get that tabbed in like so. And that will just fill out that gapped area right there. And then we will bring in the gun barrel right here, and putting the peg forward, taking the sword bit, and just kind of sliding it underneath, like so, and then it will peg into the cannon. And there is the completed tank mode. So that's it for Megatron. Next up is Soundwave. So first what we're going to do is remove the shoulder cannon, and then next what we're going to do is open up this back piece right there, flip the head down, close that back up, and then what we're going to do is take the wrist, move those in like so, and then just unpeg the arms from the sides, and we're just going to move those back for right now, just onto his back. And then next what we're going to do is rotate the waist around, flip up this flap, which will reveal two more flaps that will flip out like so. And then next what we're going to do is open up this flap in the back, open up that little flap piece right there, fold the foot in, and that peg will peg into the foot, and we'll just close that up, and then rotate at the thigh. Same thing for the other side, open up the flap in the back, open up this piece right here, rotate the foot in, peg that flap back into the foot, and then flip that piece down and rotate at the thigh. And then next what we're going to do is lift the legs up, and they will just peg on in to the side of Soundwave's chest. Same thing with the other side. This will just lift up and peg on in to the side. Then what we'll do is we will just fold this flap down and peg it on in. And there we go. Then as for the arms, what we're going to do is these parts will peg into each other like so. So we'll just rotate at the bicep right there and then just peg those on in like so. And then as for the shoulders, they will peg in as well. So just move these down and they will peg into Soundwave's back. Like so, probably should have done that first, but so let's just peg those in, making sure they're nice and secure, and then just peg the arms back in. And he is pretty much all done. But what we're going to do next is take his blasters. So here's the shoulder cannon. That'll just go into the back peg right there. Just squeeze that on down. And then next we'll take his blaster, condense it, and then place it on the back like so. So it looks something like that. And then we'll take Laserbeak and just open up the cassette and place Laserbeak on in, making sure it's secure. And that is it for Soundwave. And these guys look absolutely amazing together. But we'll take a look at each individual vehicle mode and take a closer look. So here's Megatron first. He does roll on all four wheels on the bottom of his treads. Here's the underside, looking a little bit kind of meh. I do like the silver color, of course, but, you know, just he's pretty much just majority parts for me, which is just, I don't know. I just find it as an excuse, but, you know, he does roll around pretty nice. The back section is just really kind of wah. But, I don't know, it's just really, really weird. I just feel like it just shouldn't have been so parts for me, and I don't know, he does have a really big gun barrel, because, I mean, most of this tank mode really is just parts for me, but the barrel can move all the way around, as long as you get past a lot of the different things, and get it unhooked from all the other sculpt work. But, yeah, I mean, it's a decent little tank mode. There's some more detail that gets kind of brought out in the tank mode, which is kind of cool. But, I mean, all in all, it is kind of mediocre for a tank mode. Just because, you know, the feet hanging off the back. But I do like the tread detail. That's pretty cool. And, yeah, these feet are very unsightly. I almost wish they could have maybe folded them in somehow. But, I guess that'd be too expensive to make a good-looking figure. But, I don't know. It looks okay. You know, he's not the best figure of the pack, but he's at least a decent little one, I guess. Not a big fan of this look for Megatron, but, you know, he does look pretty decent with all this silver on him, though. That is one thing for sure. The silver does look very nice. And taking a look at Shockwave, it pretty much is the same as the other one I reviewed, except this time it doesn't get a lot of accessories, but the official vehicle mode for him is basically this, which I don't know what this is, but the way they made this figure, they knew what everyone wanted, so they basically just made it so that way if you just flip those fins up and spin him around, he basically just looks like his G1 gun, which is perfect. So this Shockwave figure is actually really good, and I really do love the clear plastic purple there, just to give off that kind of like purple laser look. That is just really, really, really cool. And I love how this version does have the kind of like gray kind of colored barrel. And yeah, he does look very, very nice. I almost wish they could have put a scope there. Maybe somehow, just kind of have it as like a little display stand for it. But make it look like the scope, which would have been pretty cool. But, yeah, you can hold them, you know, like the gun and everything. And, you know, it's a pretty nice little gun. So, yeah, that's basically it for Shockwave. And taking a look at Soundwave here. Soundwave is basically the main reason I wanted to get this. But you can see all the amazing detail here. Some of it is still from the robot mode for the most part. But you got some nice detail with the silver here, the right and the left right there. Kind of wish they didn't have a serial number on here, but other than that, he's pretty much perfect. They do have the obvious, play buttons and stuff like that. They aren't pressable, which, is alright. I mean, on this size of a figure, I don't expect it. But I almost wish these gray bits were silver, just to match a little bit better. But yeah, just an all-around look. It is a pretty good boombox mode. Got some more sculpt work on the back. The weapon storage is pretty good. And yeah, there's not too much to say about him. I mean, he is the boombox, and yeah, the arms do peg in pretty decently. You got some more holes in the back if you want to use them. There's the underside, and yeah, and it's pretty nice. And of course, if you have a Laserbeak, he can go back in to the mode, but this is a nice little boombox mode. And of course, bringing back in Soundwave here, if you do open it up, you can put in Laserbeak just to demonstrate that right here. It's the same process. I don't know anyone who would think it would be a different process, but you can put Laserbeak back in and, flip them out if you wanted to. It's just a nice, neat little boombox Soundwave, and I love it. All three of these guys have their ups and downs, but they're pretty good. Now, let's take a look at some scaling in vehicle mode. So here's Bumblebee next to Soundwave and Megatron and Shockwave. So there he is next to Megatron. And here he is next to Shockwave. Right there. And taking a look and bringing in Wheeljack. Here is Wheeljack next to Shockwave. And here's Wheeljack next to Megatron. Right there. And then here's Wheeljack next to Soundwave. Like so. And then bringing in Optimus Prime. Here's Optimus Prime next to Shockwave. See how they look together there. And then here is Optimus Prime next to Megatron. Right there. Not too bad. And then here's Optimus Prime next to Soundwave. Doesn't look too bad. And then bringing in kind of a bit of a bigger comparison. Here is the Ultra Magnus from the 86 line. Right here. Next to Shockwave. Hopefully I can get it in camera. Let's move them to the side. But here is Shockwave next to Ultra Magnus. And then here's Megatron next to Ultra Magnus. Right there. And then here is Soundwave next to Ultra Magnus. See how they scale up next to each other. And yeah, so that is pretty much it for the main comparisons. Now let's take a look at the individual. Now, as for individual comparisons, we'll start with Shockwave here. So here's the original mold for the Shockwave figure here. And as you can tell, not too much differences yet again. It's just pretty much just color shading. The only two differences are the hose and obviously the barrel part of the gun mode. So yeah, I mean, not too much differences going on, just some slight color differences. But all in all, I really do love the new one better opposed to the old one. The old one still has some charm to it and a cool look, but the new one just feels so much more G1 and just so nice. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Shockwave. And as for Soundwave, this is where we get a dramatic change here, because here is the War for Cybertron Soundwave. So as you can see, two different types of alt modes. One's this weird hover carrier thingy which I don't really like, and the other is the beautiful boombox that we all know and love. But yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty dramatic change. I don't know why they decided to go with the hovercraft thingy for Soundwave when they could have just done the boombox. But I don't know. I still feel like they could have done a boombox Soundwave with this, or for Cybertron 1. But anyway, yeah, I mean, there's some pretty clear winner here. And as for Megatron here, not too dramatic, but I do want to point out these are two different molds, but they share the same transformation, and they share similar parts and pieces. One is the War for Cybertron version, which is, more of a Cybertronian tank mode, and the other is Earthrise, but I do prefer the Cybertronian one a lot better, just due to the fact that, even though the tank barrel's a parts forming piece, they both parts form, but I feel like the Cybertronian tank mode does not parts form as bad, so I still do prefer the War for Cybertron one. So, some final thoughts on this box set. I think it's a pretty good box set. I do love everything that's included. I love the throne. I love everything about this box set. But to start off with, Shockwave. So, I think the colors are perfect. I think what they were going for is perfect. I think that, just him not having all those accessories with the original one did is perfect. Maybe some slight things I would want maybe changed or would have preferred. Would have preferred if they kept the hose black instead of making it purple, because I don't know. I just feel like the black hose is just a little bit more appealing and just kind of breaks away some of the colors a bit more. And plus, the addition of the throne, you can make this really nice sort of basically famous kind of like picture of Shockwave, but you would need a Starscream figure and a Optimus Prime to pull it off, but at least the throne helps. As for the vehicle mode, I think they intentionally made the barrel that gray color so it would fit more with the G1 show, and yeah, I think Shockwave in this box set is a perfect upgrade. Now for Soundwave is just a perfect 10 out of 10. Well, maybe like a 9.5 out of 10, but, to me, it's a 10 out of 10. He does have his fair share of issues, but I think he's a pretty good figure overall, and I'm so happy that I got a boombox Soundwave without having to pay out the ass for one. But one thing, two things I could at least, do without is, I think they should have just gotten rid of those weird things on his forearms from the War for Cybertron version, or maybe just give him new forearms. Just because, they could have saved on plastic with those, and those have, no involvement with the transformation whatsoever. And I feel like they could have just painted the eyes instead of doing light piping, because that light piping is doing no justice for him at all. And as for the boombox mode is just perfect. I have no complaints, no concerns, no questions, no nothing about the boombox mode, because the boombox mode is absolutely perfect, and I love this figure. As for Megatron, I gotta just kind of put him down, just because he's just not good, at least in my opinion. I mean, he's bulky, his legs are very loose, his shoulders don't tab in, he can't stand. You have to have him at a weird angle just for him to stand up, unless he's leaning against something. And I don't know, that head sculpt just doesn't look as accurate to me as I would have liked. But I do like the silver on him, and I do like his paint job. And, the other thing, too, is, I feel like Takara could have done the gun mode. I mean, because it's Takara, they're able to do the gun mode Megatron. Well, in America, we aren't. So I feel like they should have been able to at least do a gun mode one. But as for the vehicle mode, it's okay. It's just a lot of parts formery. It's just kind of But anyway, make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next one. Peace.